Trump announces plans to impose new 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminium imports. China's consumer inflation accelerates to 0.5% in January. And AI Action Summit kicks off in Paris. Welcome to the Qnews Economic Bulletin, where we bring you the latest developments shaping the global economy. From key market trends and financial updates to regional economic highlights and forecasts, we provide essential news and analysis to keep you informed. Welcome back, and we start off with the United States, where President Donald Trump has announced plans to impose new 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminium imports, further escalating his administration's trade policy. Trump confirmed that the measures would be unveiled on Monday. He also revealed plans for reciprocal tariffs set to be announced midweek, which would match the duties imposed by other countries on U.S. exports. The move is expected to impact key steel and aluminium suppliers, including Canada, Brazil, and Mexico. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot has stated that France will urge the European Union to respond to U.S. President Donald Trump's latest tariff announcement. Speaking in an interview, Barrot said that France and its European partners should not hesitate to defend their interests in the face of the United States tariff threats. He also mentioned that this is what Donald Trump did in 2018, and at the time they responded. This time they will respond again, according to him. In response, the European Commission has said that potential tariffs imposed by the U.S. on European Union exports would put into question cooperation. With the U.S. European Commission spokesman Olive Gill stated that the EU would take the necessary steps to protect its economy. Gill emphasized that the EU opposes unjustified barriers to free and fair trade and remains fully committed to maintaining a level playing field. He also reaffirmed that the EU will always act to safeguard its economic interests, as well as European businesses, workers, and consumers from unjustified tariff measures. We support mutually beneficial. German Economy Minister Robert Habeck has said that Europe is prepared to act in response to possible restrictions to trade. Habeck said in a statement that Europe must and can only react unitedly and decisively to unilateral trade restrictions, and they are prepared for this. Habeck held a roundtable with industry on future transatlantic relations and spoke with EU Trade Commissioner Maros Sefcovic on the phone. Moreover, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has confirmed that the European Union is capable of responding within an hour if the United States imposes tariffs on European exports. In response to a question about whether the EU has a list of tough measures to counter any such U.S. move, Scholz emphasized that the EU could react to potential tariffs from Trump within an hour.
But this is a problem to be solved. The free
Credit rating agency Moody's has warned that the AAA ratings of the World Bank and other top multilateral lenders could be at risk if the United States withdraws support following a review ordered by President Trump. Moody's said in a report that the U.S. is a key shareholder in several rated multilateral development banks, so it would be credit negative if it materially reduced its commitment to them. Last week, Trump signed an executive order to review U.S. government support for all international intergovernmental organizations of which it is a member, and to withdraw from some United Nations organizations. In Asia, China's consumer inflation accelerated to 0.5% in January, the highest in 5 months, driven by holiday spending. However, producer prices fell 2.3% year-on-year, marking 28 consecutive months of factory deflation. Consumer spending during the Lunar New Year was mixed, reflecting job and wage concerns. Beijing is expected to maintain its 5% growth target, but stimulus measures remain uncertain ahead of March's annual parliament session. Finance Ministry data has revealed that Japan's current account surplus reached a record 29.3 trillion yen in 2024, driven by strong returns on foreign investments and a weaker yen. The trade deficit narrowed by 40%, supported by higher automobile and chip equipment exports. Meanwhile, the travel surplus rose as inbound tourism thrived. Despite the surplus, U.S. President Donald Trump has urged Japan to address its $68.5 billion trade surplus with the United States, raising the issue with the Japanese Prime Minister during his White House visit last Friday. Mexico's central bank governor Victoria Rodriguez has stated that policymakers will continue cutting interest rates as inflation slows. The Mexican central bank lowered the key rate to 9.5% last week, hitting its lowest level since 2022. Annual inflation fell to 3.69% in January, within the bank's target range. The governor, Victoria Rodriguez, stated that the central bank stands ready to act if financial markets face disruption. A survey by the Recruitment and Employment Confederation and KPMG has reported that Britain's job market showed further signs of cooling as demand for staff fell at the sharpest pace since mid-2020. Hiring for permanent roles remained weak, while temporary job placements dropped significantly. Slower pay growth for new hires could ease inflation concerns for the Bank of England. Analysis cites economic uncertainty and upcoming payroll tax hikes as key factors weighing on hiring. However, last week's Bank of England's interest rate cut may help restore business confidence. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk has announced that Poland is set to receive investments exceeding $160.40 billion in 2025. During a news conference at the Warsaw Stock Exchange, Tusk revealed that the planned investment in 2025 will surpass any previous amount in the history of the Polish economy. The funds will be directed towards various sectors, including defense, green energy, transport, infrastructure, and information technology. Tusk also projected that the economic growth in Poland could come close to 4% in 2025.
W Polsce inwestycje w roku 2025.
The AI Action Summit is underway in Paris, bringing together world leaders and top tech executives to discuss the future of artificial intelligence. The event highlights a growing divide between regulatory approaches, with the US easing restrictions to boost competitiveness, while the European Union faces pressure to adopt a more flexible stance. The summit also addresses AI's environmental impact and its role in the developing world. A non-binding statement is expected, and France is set to announce 109 billion euros in AI-related private sector investments.
By President Macron and Prime Minister. It is high time that we move from science.
Nobel laureate and CEO of Google DeepMind, Demis Hassabis, has said that regulating artificial intelligence is tricky in the current environment. Hassabis said that it's important to regulate AI, but it's important to get the regulations right, adding that it would be difficult to do so with such a fast-moving technology. He also said that the hype over DeepSeek has a little bit exaggerated, as there was no actual new scientific advance, but said that it demonstrated extremely good engineering.
It's an impressive piece of work, and I think it's probably the best work I've seen come out of China.
And joining us from Cairo is information technology expert Mr. Mohammad Azzam to discuss the latest developments in artificial intelligence and the AI Action Summit currently being held in Paris. Welcome to Qnews Economic Bulletin, sir. Let's start by asking you, what are the expected outcomes of the AI Action Summit in Paris?
Thank you, and good evening to you. Actually, this artificial intelligence is considered the first emerging technology discussed on the level of head of states and ministers and key political and business leaders, actually, because it represents simply an inflection point in the history of mankind, and the implication of AI is beyond imagination on economic and social levels. That's why most of countries are seeking having a balance between regulations and the development and innovation in the domain of artificial intelligence, which is very challenging, as you said. So I believe the summit is discussing such important issues and find such balance and having a sort of regulation that in favor of development, in favor of innovation, because naturally all emerging technologies are unregulated by nature, and this is also very challenging, and because having this ease of environment would help the innovation and innovators to come up with most innovative solutions, especially in AI. AI is transforming all industries, that including the defense industry, the retail industry, the finance industry, healthcare systems, the biomedical sector, the pharmaceutical sector, just name it. It has a great impact, and the expected impact of artificial intelligence on the global economy would reach like 15 billion by 2023. Actually, it's like 15% of the global GDP, which is a huge number. That's why there's a race of owning the technologies, and we've seen that in the trade conflict between the United States and China, especially over AI and the advanced computing systems and the next generation of telecom networks. And because AI is not only evolving by itself, but also it's helping other emerging technologies to have more impact and also to progress at very high pace.
Yes. Sir, you said that AI has an impact on all fields. And the summit highlights AI's role in the public good, security, innovation, and governance as well. How do you see global cooperation shaping AI's future in these areas?
I hope it will work, actually, because having such kind of regulations or having a consensus on the international level of how we develop AI is very challenging. The most important issue is who will own the technology, and who will own the technology would lead the economic development all over the world.
Exactly.
And would actually have a sort of more profound and more advanced industrial sector, and this will have implication on the both social and economic levels. But I believe the cooperation of AI on AI actually should be around the ethical use of AI, because
Yes.
AI, without having an ethical framework, would lead to a real or
dangerous
issue.
situations. And as you said,
Definitely.
the AI industry is actually becoming increasingly competitive. But now with China's DeepSeek claiming breakthroughs in cost and efficiency, how do you see this impacting the dominance of the United States and European firms?
Actually, this is risking. We see with the launch of DeepSeek, a company like NVIDIA lost like 560 billion of its market value. This equivalent to the GDP of Sweden or the GDP of Portugal and Finland together. This shows the impact of owning such technology and affecting the market cap or the dominance of United States, especially in this sector. And this is not coming from vacuum, actually, because if we look at China has a very ambitious plan. It's called Within China 2025, and it started almost 10 years ago to become the first or the most advanced nation in the domain of advanced ICT, especially AI, semiconductor manufacturing, next generation of telecom networks, quantum computing, supercomputing, e-commerce, material sciences, biomedical sciences, ground and space transportation advanced railway systems. So this is, if you look at the size of investment especially from the United States and China in research and development in this very advanced domain, we're talking here about like 700 billion US dollars spent in the United States on R&D, and like 550 billion spent yearly in China on R&D. This shows how both countries are now competing on the global level to become the world leaders in technology.
Yes.
And of course, having the tools of the 21st century to lead the global economy, and of course, having or creating wealth for companies, for individuals, for communities, by having such joint companies. And this is not happening in vacuum. Actually, it has been there for many years, and most of our both countries actually are in a typical race for owning such emerging technologies, because, as I said, it's affecting every industrial sector. It affects every social sector.
Yes, and I would want to take it from here, since we're talking that how it affects every sector. The summit actually emphasizes AI's positive contributions to healthcare, sustainability, and job creation. How do you see these advancements shaping economic growth and workforce dynamics in the coming years, especially that many people fear that AI would actually take their jobs?
Actually, technology is altering jobs, is not actually eliminating jobs. That's why we need all the time to have the right skill set for joining the job market. And it happened actually during the first industrial revolution, like in late 18th century. And technology is changing the way we conduct business, the way we do things. That's why we need a system that would equip the labor force with the right skill set. And this is also a very challenging issue, because also how long it should take to have a new skill to enter the job market or to cope with the development, because any routine job will be automated. This is a fact, actually, and we are working in the area that machines does not work. So it's very important to consider such things while developing the ethical framework for developing AI, especially not considering AI as for replacement of human jobs unless in high-risk jobs. Also, in the healthcare system, actually, it started from having automation for the medical records, of analyzing the data of medical records to have a better planning for the future, or having a better optimization of my resources, as well as AI could use in drug discovery, which is one of the most important things, because based on data of the research conducted by the large pharmaceutical enterprises, they have large data, they can analyze it, and having a connection between the different kinds of materials, having better understanding of the chemical reactions between substance, and of course this will lead to have a pathway for having new drugs that solving a lot of healthcare issues that we are facing today.
Yes, I'd like to thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed Azam, for your insights. And now we move to the latest developments from the MENA region. The head of the Suez Canal Authority, Osama Rabia, has stated that he expects maritime traffic through the Egyptian waterway to gradually return to normal by the end of March, with a full recovery anticipated by mid-year. Rabia explained that the canal is currently passing no more than 32 ships per day, compared to 75 ships per day before the outbreak of the Gaza conflict on October 7th, 2023. He also noted that large tankers are still unable to navigate through the canal at this time. A memorandum of understanding worth $80 million was signed in Ramallah between the United Nations Development Programme and the Arab and International Organization for Reconstruction in Palestine. This marks the first major intervention since the ceasefire, focusing on damage assessment, debris removal, and temporary shelter in Gaza. Prime Minister Mohammed Mustafa stated that the initiative is part of a 6-month recovery plan, a 3-year transition strategy, and a 10-year reconstruction roadmap coordinated with international partners. The UNDP has committed $40 million to shelter and rubble clearance, while seeking an additional $126 million for early recovery efforts. Lebanese dollar-denominated bonds rose by more than 1 cent on Monday, surpassing 18 cents to the dollar following the formation of the new Lebanese government. According to data from TradeWeb, Lebanon's dollar-denominated bonds jumped by up to 1.1 cents, reaching around 18.3 cents across most maturities, marking the highest level since March 2020. In U.S. markets, U.S. stocks rose on Monday, eyeing a bounce back from sharp losses as steel 0.76%, and that for the Dow Jones Industrial Average increased 0.28%. In Europe, France's CAC 40 hiked 0.35%, while Germany's DAX jumped 0.63%, and Britain's FTSE 100 climbed 0.89%. In Asia, Hong Kong's Hang Seng rose 1.84%. In Tokyo, the Nikkei 225 index inched up 0.04%. Australia's S&P ASX 200 dropped 0.34%. Oil prices rebounded on Monday despite lingering fears over a potential global trade war after U.S. President Donald Trump's latest tariff plans, this time targeting steel and aluminium. Brent crude futures were up 1.2% at $75.53 a barrel. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude added 1.3%, rising to $71.90. Gold prices continued their record rally on Monday and broke through the key $2,900 level for the first time, driven by safe haven demand as U.S. President Donald Trump's new tariff threats amplify a trade war and inflation concerns. Spot gold surged 1.6% to $2,905.25 per ounce after hitting a record high of $2,910.99 earlier in the session. U.S. gold futures jumped 1.5% to $2,930.90. That's all for now, and here is what wrap-up of what we have covered. Trump announces plans to impose new 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminium imports. China's consumer inflation accelerates to 0.5% in January. And AI Action Summit kicks off in Paris. And this concludes our economic bulletin for today. Don't forget to follow Q News on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok at Qnews EG to stay informed. Thank you very much for watching and stay tuned for more updates here on Q News.